Patreon Q&A number 106. I want to thank all 127 of my amazing patrons. Guys, thank you so much for continuing to support me. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers for all the series that I'm going to be talking about, so tread carefully. Crusader Deus Vult asks, how do you think the heroes would do against someone like Plus Ultra Shigaraki? So this is a good question, and you would definitely need S-class heroes in order to take him down. They would probably even send multiple after him, considering how outrageously powerful he is right now. And granted, he's not at the peak of his power. He only has about 75% overall, I suppose, as it's stated multiple times. But even given that, he is, dragon through and through. And as we saw, S-class heroes, multiple of them get called in response to dragons, unless it's like, Tatsumaki or somebody like that. But that being said, you would need somebody like Tatsumaki or like the really powerful, the more so powerful S-class heroes in order to go against him. Because aside from his physicality, because, he has like super strength, super speed, super durability, he has regeneration, and all of the other quirks that we have yet to see. I mean, we're still just scratching the surface with what he could do currently within the manga. But it all comes down to decay. His decay or his awakened decay quirk is so broken. And not just the fact that, like, he could touch you and you get, vaporized pretty much, but the way that, like, he can, slam it on the ground and then just cause, like, a nuke pretty much to go off. Like, that's crazy. And then it could spread. And then if it touches you, then it's over. It's like these other S-class heroes who are even currently, like, at, the Monster Association battle right now, like Tank Top Master's on his way, Genos, Pig God, Zombie Man, Child Emperor, guys like that, Metal Bat, they would be absolutely annihilated by Plus Ultra Shigaraki, and that's probably going to upset some people, but it's the truth. Sorry to break it to you guys. I mean, even if, they were stopping his decay or evading it, he still has insane durability. He's taking 100% shots from Izuku. The impact of those are crazy, more impressive than the impact of the physical strikes that we've seen of the aforementioned heroes. So you would really need speed and tactics to really overcome him, especially in the One Punch Man world. So maybe Atomic Samurai could take him out. Definitely Flashy Flash. I don't think he's on that level of speed. And then, like I said, Tatsumaki, it would probably make short work of him, considering how grossly overpowered she is and how she doesn't have to make contact or even get close to him to be able to take him out. But aside from that, like, heroes that are off the battlefield, Metal Knight probably could get the job done. Maybe Drive Knight could. Silver Fang, maybe, the speed, the skill, the reflexes. Darkshine, not looking good for him, considering he's a physical fighter. And then Blast, the verdict's out on him. But yeah, Plus Ultra Shigaraki is no joke, even for One Punch Man. And the second question, what do you think is going to happen right after they beat Orochi? Will the cadres be there immediately, or will they sneak attack the heroes? It could be both. I mean, according to those leaked notes, they're going to come out after he's done. I mean, whether that happens or whether it doesn't, I don't know. It remains to be seen. But they are still going to appear, so it could be like a combination of them sneak attacking while they emerge, or it could be, how it is in the webcomic, and you just see them, like, pop out of the ground, like, seemingly one by one, I suppose, and then, like, the S-Class heroes are like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, they have that bang moment when he sees Elder Centipede regenerate. Okay, Baldie asks, I was thinking of a theory that Blast could be Saitama's dad. It's a big trope that the protagonist has a powerful family member, Goku, Naruto, Luffy. Do you think it might be playing off of that shonen trope? No, I don't think so. Even if I didn't think about the whole Blast being the bearded worker thing and that was all off the table, I still wouldn't think that Blast was Saitama's dad. Now, is it a possibility? Of course. I'm not going to completely discredit it. It could happen for all we know. I just don't think it's going in that direction because, I mean, the age kind of lines up, I suppose. I mean, like, we don't know how old Blast is, but, given the chronological stuff, he could be, in his 40s or whatever. So he technically could be, I suppose. I just don't think it's headed that way because Saitama wasn't born with any special kind of potential or anything, according to Dr. Genus. And if he was the son of Blast, then he would exhibit the same type of abilities that Blue has. And also, I don't think we're really going to get any insight into Saitama's family, and I don't really think we need to. Delamante asks, hey, Shona, my question is, do you think Homelander is redeemable as a human, and do you think he'll eventually become a full-blown tyrant and be humanity's enemy? So there's no way Homelander can be redeemed. unless he like straight up sacrifices himself to save multiple people or something like that. That's the only way that he can even begin to be redeemed. And even then, that's a big stretch because he is so evil, so incredibly like no morality, full-blown psychopath, which is, the cool part of his character, but I don't think he will be redeemed at all. There's no way. He's been set up. I mean, his hole has been dug too deep at this point. And yeah, I do think he'll become a tyrant and try to take over humanity pretty much. I mean, at least that's what seems things are being set up with the whole developments with how Stormfront spilled the beans to him in the recent episode. Derek asks, what if the people that were experimenting on Tatsumaki when she was a kid was the organization? It makes sense that a group like that was on for a while since they like gathering data on powerful beings. I mean, it's possible, of course. I mean, given that those individuals weren't cyborgs or anything and they seemed very vulnerable, it could be like their origin story maybe, because the one comparison that two comparisons that we do have between those people and the organization is that, one, they were collecting data somewhat, or at least doing some kind of experiments trying to understand Tatsumaki's power, but two, they had monsters captive, which we know that the organization is implied to do as well. But they called it a synthetic beast, meaning that like they created it. So we don't know if the organization has created monsters yet or if they're just, capturing them. But that could be the origin to them because like I was saying, like it seemed like they were killed or at least maimed by those monsters. So like maybe after they were maimed, the brain robot came to be. Like the only thing that was salvaged was his brain and he was put into that cyborg thing, and then the rest of them became cyborgs and they became more powerful possibly. I mean, it's just, something to think about. Dino W asks, who wins in a fight between Stormfront and Queen Maeve? So that's a good question. And we really haven't seen too much from Queen Maeve. As far as I know, she's just like has super strength and super durability. Like maybe more so than what like we typically see from the supes. I guess that's like her thing. So does that mean that she'd be able to resist Stormfront's like electrical powers? I mean, obviously she could more so than a regular person and more than a regular soup, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, like Stormfront, like once she hits you with that electrical stuff, you're so vulnerable. Like we saw how she went against that one shaved head girl in that facility who was, easily tanking like machine gun fire. So, I mean, and she, had those crazy telekinetic powers. So, like, could she do that to Queen Maeve, or could Queen Maeve, like, muscle through it and then, like, beat Stormfront down? But even then, Stormfront has some insane durability herself. So, I'd probably put my money on Stormfront. She seems to have more options here. And then Homelander mentioned running lines with Black Noir. What type of dialogue would their script have? This is a funny line that I noticed as well. Either they have Black Noir dubbed in the movie and he has like dialogue because I don't know, or it's just, funny back and forth where like Homelander speaks for Black Noir, you know what I mean? Like, oh, so you're saying that if we do this, then that will happen. Thanks, Black Noir. You know what to say every time. FallingFireX asks, what mythological creature would you like to see appear in One Punch Man as a monster? So there's actually more examples than Phoenix and Rover. I mean, there's like a lot if you really look into it, if you go into like the OVAs and the bonuses and everything. But the one that I would really like to see is the Ningen. I mean, I guess they're mythology legends or based off of myth. It's more so Japanese stuff, but I've always been fascinated with the Ningen because I think they're pretty aesthetic. I like the creepy vibe of them, but just the way that they work, their origins and everything, it actually seems like something that could easily exist within the One Punch Man world. And they seem to be like those type of individuals who would be more powerful, considering the way that they look and everything and what they represent. Like they could be like the above dragons even possibly. Father Solace asks, I'm finally here. What's up? I've been waiting for a long time to support you and I'm happy I could. Hey, thank you so much, Father Solace. I really do appreciate that. Do you think we can add a new tier group in the above dragons to make it the same as dragons so we can possibly scale the powerful in One Punch Man and the rest of anime? Yes. This is coming. I am going to make a full-blown video on the new updated scaling for above dragon. I'm just waiting for the whole Sairochi stuff to wrap up. Since it's not done yet, once Orochi is dead and Psychos is completely separated and that whole thing is over, then I'll go into the new above dragon stuff. Second question, what do you think the power scale on Luffy is and where do you think he'll end up? So within One Piece scaling, he's for sure Yonko Commander level. I mean, he's proven it multiple times again, but like if you want to go even more nuanced than that, Like, is he first mate level, or some call it like right hand to the Yonko? He could be on that level. Like if Luffy was on like a Yonko's crew, it's very possible that he could be like in the position that like Katakuri is, or King, or Ben Beckman, or somebody like that. But he could also be like the third, he's somewhere around there. He still needs to prove himself, which he's coming to very soon in Wano, because he's going to get a major fight sooner or later. But he's definitely on that level. I don't think he's any higher than that, or any lower for sure. Free-Tshirts asks, Tank Top Master said he was going to support Tatsumaki in the fight. Do you think we're going to be seeing the beginning of Tank Top Master's first dragon win, with help, of course? It's very possible. Because I was talking about the whole thing about Orochi still might split off and become like his own thing, and he might go into the whole dragons individually fighting the S-class heroes. If that does happen, I think it's very likely that Tank Top Master might solo one of those Orochi dragons, which technically could represent a dragon level threat. But if that doesn't happen, I don't see Tank Top Master defeating a cadre or anything like that. GardenShed asks, many rate Dabi super high in terms of power. I don't really get it. I reckon a decent amount of the upper tier students could take him. So I wonder which students do you think could take Dabi in a fight. So Dabi is extremely powerful on the offensive, but he's kind of like a glass cannon. Like, look to his match with Aizawa. That's, pretty much the extent of Dabi. Like, if he can't get you with that one blast and you're pretty agile and pretty skilled, you're probably going to take him out. So that being said, like, even somebody like Tsuyu could maybe in theory take out Dabi if she's fast enough on the draw. She seems to be more agile than him, and her quirk, is similar to Aizawa's method of attack. I'm not saying, it's guaranteed that she could take him down, because, one blast and she's toast, but other than that, I mean, like Izuku, Bakugo, Todoroki, maybe even Ida, maybe Kirishima, his durability could get through the blue flames possibly. But outside of them, it would be a really difficult battle for the rest of these students. And I'm just taking into consideration 1A here. Geruda asks, hey, Shonen, what do you think the reason is that Blackbeard can't sleep? Do you think the reason is tied to his ability to wield multiple devil fruits? Thanks. So I actually made a video about this when the whole Blackbeard youth reveal was shown in Odin's flashback. And I speculated that it could be because he allegedly comes from the Drum Kingdom, because it was shown that he comes from like a snowy place. That's when like Blackbeard picked him up. And we know that he attacked the Drum Kingdom. That's actually the first time that we hear about Blackbeard. And, the whole thing that Luffy says to Sanji about how, he heard that from a guy in a bar, a.k.a. Shanks, that people in, like, snowy countries don't sleep. And I always assumed that, like, oh, it's because, like, they'll freeze to death if they fall asleep or something, or maybe the temperatures are so low that they can't fall asleep. I don't know. I mean, that's a possibility. It's just because of where he comes from. But also, it could play into his body being different, because Marco says, oh, is he able to have multiple devil fruits because his body's different? Or he says, there's so many different translations to it. He says, like, you know just as well as I that his body isn't normal. And I thought that maybe because he had the Yami Yami no Mi that allowed him to have 2 devil fruits. But now I'm thinking that maybe Blackbeard just has some kind of weird thing to him. And that could be tied into why he can't sleep. Goliath Xanatos asks us a random question. If you were reborn as your favorite anime character, except they were the opposite gender, who would it be and what would you do? So if it's my favorite, I guess it would have to be, Garo's my favorite right now. And then female Garo would be similar to male Garo, just, more attractive, I suppose. I would join the Hero Association and then just climb the ranks and try to outrank Blast, I suppose. Helpessness asks, hey, Show, which A-class heroes would you like to see monster-fied the most, and what do you think they would look like? I'd like to see the Great Philosopher and Green become monsters, because the Great Philosopher would look awesome. He would just be like this. He'd almost look like Beast King, I suppose. And then Green, he would look like some kind of crazy Resident Evil monster, because, like, he has, like, that ability to manipulate vines and plants and stuff like that. So he would just be gross, but, super powerful at the same time. Kohler R asks, what's your favorite, we'll say, alternative anime? And as you guys know, I'm an avid follower of the NoFap. So I haven't, seen that or visited that stuff in quite a while, but when I was in high school, I don't know if I had like a favorite. I more so just read like the mangas that were based on like the big series at the time. L asks, do you think Sonic got any of the Ninja Scrolls, or did Flashy Flash keep everything for himself? No, I highly doubt that Flashy Flash kept everything for himself. Considering that Sonic also got a sword, I assumed that he had to have at least gotten a scroll or something. I mean, it's possible that Flashy Flash was the only one that got him, but considering that we saw that he was able to use a technique from that, I expect us to see the same thing from Sonic, honestly, because, one likes giving him power-ups and stuff like that, and this would be a fitting way to do it. Off-panel, he's been training through the scrolls, and he picked up some new technique. Legendary says, do you think when Uraraka awakens her quirk, she will have a gravity quirk powerful like Fujitora from One Piece? So that ultimately depends on what it's going to be when she awakens it, because Fujitora, he can like manipulate gravity. He can increase the, how many times it is, as well as Uraraka can just make things zero gravity. So, I mean, that would be cool if, it goes both ways. Like she can double or triple or, multiply gravity instead of just making it zero. But I'm thinking that when she does awaken it, she'll just have like, something similar to what Shiki has, I suppose. Second question, will we see a League of Villains in One Punch Man? Considering we know little understanding of the criminal underworld, I'm not sure, but it would be pretty cool if we did. Like a monster association, but it's not monsters, and it's just like humans who are bad guys that just became super powerful without becoming monsters. I mean, we do have some of those in the Neo Heroes right now, so it would be interesting to see a group comprised of those, but they would have to be really powerful in order to pose a threat to the Hero Association. Little Ferrari asks, decided to become a Patreon after checking out some of your Twitch streams. Hey, thank you, Little Ferrari. I really do appreciate that, and I do remember you from the streams. How high of a rank do you think Batman would have if he were in the Hero Association? So I'm not like 100% certain how powerful Batman truly is. I know there's like a whole bunch of different continuities of him, and the answer could go on for hours. But I don't think he has like the strength of like Tank Top Master or somebody like that. And his skills are pretty good, and he has some great tech and all of that stuff. But I just think he would be like high A class at the most part. I mean, maybe he could be S class if he proved it to the Hero Association, but just based off of what I have personally seen, he strikes me as, like a high A class guy. Marshal asks, do you believe that Jiren is still Goku's greatest enemy after seeing how he did against Moro? Well, I don't even know if you could technically call him an enemy of Goku, more so like an adversary. But if we're just talking about adversaries in the manga, it's definitely got to be Beerus, because I'm thinking that Beerus is stronger in that continuity than he is in the anime. And I think they might be possibly setting up, or at least I hope that the one true fight, or at least the first true fight of Ultra Instinct, is going to be Beerus if they do tangle again. Considering that Moro just got no diffed by him. And I guess Jiren put up a better fight than that, somewhat. But I think it's going to be Beerus more so than Jiren. Second question, do you think Bang and Bomb No Abandonment could take out Goketsu? Yeah. I mean, like, they did pretty good against Elder Centipede, who I guess has better durability than Goketsu to some degree. I mean, he's bigger than him, and durability is like his thing. And, I mean, even without the abandonment, I think Bang and Bomb working together could take out Goketsu. But maybe he could beat them too. I don't know. I'm more so inclined to think that they could take him. Mr.Awsome asks, so when I asked about Eneru getting the gold for, I was wondering about if he could use the Grand Tesoro as a weapon instead of like in personal combat, like the Arc Maxim. Yeah. Okay, so that would be crazy. Even though we haven't really seen the Grand Tesoro used as a weapon, if he like modified it in the way that, the Arc Maxim was, and he can like generate like super powerful like electricity and bolts or beams from it, then yeah, I mean, obviously it would be way more powerful than the Arc Maxim, which is way smaller than the Grand Tesoro. So he would be a serious threat to the world government, just because of the insane amount of power that he has. I mean, that's almost like an ancient weapon. I mean, I guess that would be comparable to an ancient weapon if he was able to convert the Grand Tesoro into, something that he can control with his abilities. So I guess he could easily be a Yonko just based off of that, aside from like battle and combat stuff like that. Second question, which One Piece characters right now do I consider a dragon? All of the Yonkos easy, all of the admirals, and then maybe Luffy, maybe Zoro, maybe like the first Yonko commanders, maybe even the seconds, possibly. Guys like that all seem to be around dragon level to me. And then like dragon probably is as well. Natedawg asked, if a god level threat tried taking down the Hero Association, would they have a chance without Saitama? Yeah, I think they would. Like we have Metal Knight, Blast, Tatsumaki. I think if all three of them work together, in theory, they should be able to stop a god-level threat. And if not, then the world's over, I guess. And then maybe throw Drive Knight in there with his full potential possibly. But, I mean, like, Metal Knight, Tatsumaki, and Blast are such a powerful team in my mind that, like, one god-level threat, I don't know, maybe, would fall to them, possibly. Proofy asks, what's Yujiro Hanma's disaster level? So you came to the right guy, because we went over Yujiro Hanma 3 different times on my Twitch streams when we were doing disaster levels. I went over his anime feats from like the old anime, the new anime, and I went over his manga feats as well. And he's pretty much a demon, like maybe a high demon if you want to be generous. I mean, he does have some interesting feats, but his most quote-unquote powerful feats are like what's implied, like, the whole lightning dodging thing, even though, a demon could probably do that, one of the faster ones. But, like, he's more so like a hyped character. I mean, yeah, he does have impressive feats for sure, but nothing that says dragon to me. And that's just, me personally. Do you think Raiden could stand in as a hurdle for Darkshine in regaining his strength and confidence? Yes. At least I hope this happens. I hope that Raiden fights Darkshine defeats him and gets his mojo back. I mean, that would be, ideal. But, then again, One Punch Man doesn't always play out the way that we want it to. Samurai asked, I was wondering where you thought Luffy would be in the S-Class if he was in the One Punch Man world. He would be right in the middle, probably. I mean, he's, really fast, really strong, really durable, has so many crazy abilities. But he's nothing like a flashy flash art Darkshine yet. I mean, he probably eventually will be, but I put him around like the Metal Bats, the Genoses, around that area. As for my second question, how would Luffy do against Deku? If you think he outclasses him, you could buff Deku to 50, to 60. I'm thinking that Deku is going to have to go to 60, somewhere around there, to be able to compete with Luffy, at least at Gear 4, Snake Man, or like even like his Gear 3 stuff. He's really, really powerful at that point. And Izuku is as well, but he, at the 20% and stuff like that, I just don't think it's quite enough, especially considering the opponents that Luffy has defeated by himself at this point. But at like 60, which we haven't seen yet, we haven't even seen anything above 40 at this point, or 45, I forget the exact number, but I mean, aside from 100, of course, I'm talking about everything in between. I mean, maybe that could be enough. I mean, like the 145% smash that he did was pretty powerful. So I'm thinking that, like, yeah, like Luffy could defeat Izuku up until that point, but then it gets pretty competitive, and then it could go either way, I suppose. Simone Kamina asks, for what would be the role of Agoni and his son throughout the series? Ah, man, I know that, English isn't your first language, Simone, but I'm trying my best to decipher this one. So Agoni, we know that he's the guy who made the Hero Association, and his son is the person that Saitama saved, which inspired that. So, like, when you say what would his role be, it's like, well, he already has a role. We just haven't seen him throughout the series, which is interesting. Like, he hasn't really shown up or done anything, at least as far as I know. But if he were to show up, I would hope that he would be a good guy. Like, he wouldn't be, like, the evil, corrupt, pseudo-politicians that, like, the Hero Association basically represents. Although he could be that, I just think it would be a little played out. I think it would be refreshing if he was, like, a good guy and altruistic and actually wanted the better for things. It wasn't all corrupt and only cared about lobbying and stuff like that. Steven asks, what canceled series would you bring back? So Dragon Ball Super, easy, no question. I mean, technically it was canceled, but technically it wasn't. I don't know, but Dragon Ball Super, please come back, or just Dragon Ball, the main continuity of it. I would take that over pretty much anything. ThighsOfZeus asks, I wanted to know how the consequences of the tournament arc will come back to bite Saitama. Could this be related to the reaction of the tank top black hole fight? Genos' reaction to it. I'm not exactly sure what you're asking here, ThighsOfZeus. Like, what exactly were the consequences of the tournament arc for Saitama? Do you mean like the way that people saw him to some degree? Because I guess that also goes back into Genos' reaction, because as far as I know, what you're pointing to here is Genos saying that people were like quietly or somewhat quietly vilifying Saitama, seeing him as someone that, you know, aided in the destruction of the city because of what he did. If you're going off of, like, is Saitama going to become, like, a pariah, I think it's very possible that this could be the future for Saitama. Eventually, at some point, and that could play into when Blast steps in, maybe. But I just do think that one is maybe eventually going to head to the point of where Saitama is seen as more harm than good and, vilified or becomes a pariah at some point. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Wolfire54 asks, going back to the hypothetical shonen rivalry from your previous question, would you rather have Garo and Saitama have more of a Midoriya and Bakugo rivalry, or they both meet each other in the hero training? I would have them both meet each other in hero training. I wouldn't like it if they grew up as kids or something, because I like Saitama as being that character who's like mysterious. You don't really know much about him, and having like him grow up with Garo and having this embedded relationship with them, I think would take away from Saitama's character. So I think it would be much better if they met each other in the hero training. They became rivals that way, and if they were to have a team attack, where Saitama punches and Garo uses the water fist to reflect it, which would make it a multiplier. What would you rather them do? I mean, I guess that can happen according to manga logic. And I guess it could, and it'd become more powerful, but I think more so like a double attack would be more fitting. Like Saitama does a punch and like Garo does a kick or something. You know, like it's like a duo attack like that. I mean, the other one could work as well. It just depends on how powerful Saitama is in this situation. So that's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 127 of my incredible patrons. And if you would like to be in next week's video, simply check out the Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to this video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.